Mathematician Dr. Anthony Bosman has revealed that mathematics could be the language of God. So, in a very interesting show, he revealed a few things about God and creation. For example, is math created or discovered?
Might say, wait a minute, you're saying math is discovered, but I think math is created or invented. What would you say to those people?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's a bit of both, right? When Isaac Newton looked at the data for how the planets orbit and came up with his universal law of gravitation, right? He used notation that he had invented to describe the orbit of the planets. He comes up with his law of gravitation. But he's not imposing something onto the world. He's actually discovering something about the world. And the way we know this is he discovers this in the 1600s. In the 1700s, we find a new planet, Uranus. And when Uranus was discovered, it didn't quite fit the equation of Isaac Newton. His equation seemed to be wrong. But then people realized, well, it could fit the equation if there was something else pulling on Uranus, pulling it a little bit further so it's just not quite exactly what the equation said from this one perspective. But if you include this extra planet, it would fit the equation. So people hypothesized there must be an extra planet beyond Uranus. Now, we had no evidence of this yet. The telescope wasn't strong enough to perceive it. But 100 years later, we discovered the planet that the equation predicted, which was Neptune. And so what you see going on here is the mathematics isn't just something we impose upon the world, but it's actually describing the fundamental structure of the world. It makes predictions that we then go out and confirm.
What you're telling me and telling our audience is, look, this isn't something we're just making up. We're seeing math in the very fabric of the universe. So does that mean...
So therefore you ask yourself, is math God's language?
Math is the language of God?
Yeah. So that's what Galileo said. When God created, he used the language of mathematics, right? And people have wrestled with, why is the universe so mathematical? And some have tried to resist concluding God. There's a professor at MIT. He concludes the reason that the universe is mathematical is because the universe is just a mathematical object. You and I are mathematics that are somehow self-conscious and alive. And it's kind of an absurd, ridiculous theory, but it's showing the lengths to which people are wrestling with the fact that there's this deep structure to the world. When I talk to my physicist friends about this, I have one friend who's a physicist, comes from a secular background, doesn't have any Christian commitments, but he told me that this is what keeps him up at night. Why is there this mathematical structure? This keeps me up at night. And then he says, I know how you as a Christian make sense of it. So he as a secular physicist can look at me and say, I know how you as a Christian, he sees how it points to God, right? And so it's not just something that you read into it, but it's actually the structure of the world is strong evidence that there is a creator.
That's really incredible. This is the first time I'm getting excited.
So now the question becomes, if there's a creator, which creator is the true creator? Because there are many theories. And if there are gods, there are many gods. So this is what Dr. Anthony had to say
about math right now. When you think about the theories behind how this universe came about, the majority of scientists say, well, there was this Big Bang. Before that, there was this, essentially the laws of physics were broken down, the singularity, and then some quantum fluctuation, and boom, the universe began. Stephen Hawking said, no, we don't need any kind of creation or origin. The laws of gravity have always been there. And then you got the multiverse theory out there that especially superhero movies are really interested in, right? And then there's theism. Based upon your study of mathematics, let's lay aside the church, let's lay aside the Bible. Which of those makes much more sense and is inconsistent with the data of mathematics?
So for much of human history, we just assumed the universe always existed, right? The ancient Greeks, they thought it was always here. And that's why is the universe here? It's always been here, right? But the discovery of cosmology is the universe had a beginning. And so now how do we make sense of the fact the universe had a beginning? The Big Bang Theory is just the recognition that there was an initial point of time. Now, one way to try to explain how the universe had a beginning is to try to appeal somehow the laws of physics. This is what Stephen Hawking claims. He says, because there is a law such as gravity, the universe can and will create itself from nothing. But when I think about what the law of gravity is, it's just a mathematical description of the world, right? Do you have a wallet on you?
I don't. I wish I did.
Okay. Yeah. Well, if you think about pull out your wallet, you can use mathematics to describe how much money you have. Maybe it's like a 20 and a 5, 25, mathematics describes it. But you can't scribble down plus 100 and have $100 pop into existence, right? I mean, that'd be great if you could, but mathematics doesn't have creative power. It only has descriptive power. So when people think that the laws of physics can somehow create the world, it's a confusion. The laws of physics are just describing how the world works. It can't describe what actually created the universe.
So as you can see from this mathematician, he says that mathematics is very good in describing what is already created, and mathematics is not good in creating. It's just describing. And that's why we have to conclude that mathematics is the language of God. Because when you look at everything, there's a pattern, there's a design. And as you know, atheists say that there's no design, there's no pattern. Even if there's a design, it's all random. So these are the critical questions we as believers or people who are on the fence, you have to ask yourself. Now, Dr. Anthony Bosman confirms that indeed there is a creator and there is a God and there is a design, there is a pattern to everything. And as human beings, it is good news to know that we are not just some random dust in the universe. So thank you for watching this devotional. If you want more faith content, feel free to subscribe. Meanwhile, I hope and pray that you are whole and well.